lot of people might disagree with me, but I genuinely think that the a7V, which I'm shooting on with right now, is probably the best hybrid camera you can get. The a7V kind of does everything almost perfectly. I've been using the a7V for almost 2 months now, and I can give you my honest opinion about it because I think it really is just that good. Look, I'm coming from an a6700, so I'm gonna have some opinions about the difference between that. I'm mostly just gonna be comparing to my APS-C Sony camera. First thing we're gonna talk about is the design, and I'll talk about the outside design. It is definitely a little bit heavier than my a6700 at about 120 grams more, at 610 grams total. It's a full frame sensor though. I kind of do like the fact that it has a little bit of heft, and because it's a little bit bigger, allows for a really good grip. And when I was in Tokyo this spring, I had it without a cage, no handle, nothing, because I just bought it, and I did not drop it once, because the grip on it is just that solid. I really like the grip on this camera. It is basically the same as the a7 IV, so if you are coming from the a7 IV, I don't think it's much different from what I know. However, as someone who's coming from an APS-C, it's nice to have a joystick, as well as these extra dials, exposure dials. Okay, let's move on to the main reason I upgraded, and it's obviously because it's a full frame camera. And yes, I do believe personally that I like full frame more than APS-C. I'm not saying exactly APS-C is worse in all cases, but there are definitely a lot of cases where I feel full frame is a little bit better, especially for videography work. Okay, let's talk about the sensor. Sensor, 33 megapixel, partially stacked sensor. I think this is a great megapixel count because it's a good balance of being low enough that you're not going to develop too much noise. However, it's still very detailed for photos. So a great middle ground. Talk about the upgrades over the a7 IV specifically and why this is good. First off is rolling shutter is decreased. If you don't know what rolling shutter is, it's like this jello effect you have when you move the camera. Camera sensors read from top to bottom, so it's gonna have like this weird jello effect. It's really hard to notice unless you look for it, but the a7 IV has 11 millisecond readout time, which basically kind of annihilates that. Good thing they got rid of it. The only time I've noticed like any rolling shutter is because I was on a bullet train, and that was the only reason I noticed it, and in most other cases you're probably not gonna notice it. The second thing that's amazing about it is that it's a really fast sensor. Obviously the options between electronic and mechanical shutter, and the electronic shutter on this can shoot 30 frames per second, no blackout frames, because normally when you're shooting with the camera there's like a black frame in between. There are no black frames in between, so if you're shooting photography or nature, you're gonna have these insane 30 frames per second bursts, as well as the fact you can also do pre-capture for up to 1 second. These are very expensive features found in the A1 series, somehow trickled all the way down to its mid-range A7 series, which is pretty nuts if you think about it. Because the A7 is considered the mid-range at about $2,000. The A1 is like $8K. It's super expensive for no reason. Personally, I would never buy A1 unless I was like a super professional and I needed for some reason that professional on much for the camera. But yeah, the A1 is just a super expensive camera, but those features are kind of transferred into the mid-ground here. It's a really nice welcome change. However, one of the main things about the sensor, why I bought it over the a7 IV, is because its dual base ISO is raised to 8,000, and that is really high. Not as high as the Sony FX3, which is the king of low light, or the a7S III or the ZV-E1. It's not as good as those cameras for low light. However, you're taking that trade of an FX3 in comparison to the ZV-E1, is that you're gonna have way better photo capabilities on this camera in comparison to ZV-E1 and FX3. The sensor is still amazing for low light cinematography. The fact of the matter is those cameras aren't just meant for video. They're not meant for photos. And again, I just talked about how great the photo capabilities of this camera is. So the fact you can even get 8,000 base ISO compared to a 12,800, it's not going to be as good as the FX3, but it's definitely a lot better than the a7 IV and a lot of other Sony cameras. Here's a shot I'm shooting at nighttime. It's really dark. It was at 8,000 ISO with f2.8. I think it looks amazing, honestly, and there was no noise reduction in this clip. It's just straight from camera, just color graded, but it really is just that good at low light. It's really surprising. And again, I'm coming from an APS-C camera. It's miles better than that. I think that one had like a, what? I can't remember. It was like probably like 3200 base ISO. Let me just check it out. ISO in the a6700 was 2500. Not anywhere close to what I thought it would be. I thought it was 3200. Never mind. That's why this is just so much better at low light. The base ISO is just good. 8000 is still pretty good, guys. Now, the main other thing that they changed on the a7 IV to the a7 V is the screen itself. The screen flips out and is a higher resolution screen. Is it something that I've noticed that much compared to an a7 IV or a6700? Honestly, not the resolution, but the fact I can flip out the screen to waist level is very nice. It's a very nice change I needed. It's definitely gonna have like this effect where every single camera should just have this. I know it's definitely more expensive to make this, but it's a really good feature. Okay, let's talk about performance. Obviously, this is like a tank of a camera. It really is just good at both. I've taken a lot of photos with it. I think I've been astounded by some of the photos on it, and it's full frame. It is definitely not the smallest of the A7. The A7C2 was the other camera I was looking towards. It was between this or the A7C2 because the A7C2 is just a better a7 IV. However, I chose the a7 V again over it just because though I think the a7C2 would have been better for my everyday pickup, I think the fact if you're trying to be more professional, you will want the better sensor. You will want the better low light capabilities. I think at the end of the day, that's your sacrifice you gotta make. It's a little bit bigger than the a7C2, but you know, it's still great. Now the battery on the other hand, I think is absolutely insane. I don't know why no one else is talking about this. Maybe they're just used to really power efficient cameras. Like the a6700, I got maybe like 1,500 shots. I got 2,000 shots on this camera the other day when I was doing a photography shoot for the rugby team. I still had like 40% battery left. I once went 3 days using this same battery. And the thing is, yeah, obviously I wasn't using it like all the time, but I was using it for a really good bit. I had a photography shoot, I had another photo shoot, and then I was recording my own videos the whole time. And then my battery died because I forgot to charge it because I honestly thought I had an unlimited battery for a bit. Like I've been recording on this camera for about an hour and I have 70% left. Like I've been recording 4K 24 for like a good hour. Still could go for another hour or two. That's a lot to me. That's pretty wow. I had no problems with this camera being hot at all. Like it's genuine. I don't know how they did it, but they fixed, like they had really good passive cooling on this camera. It has so rarely been warm on this camera. My iPhone gets warmer than this camera just by doing normal tasks, and this is shooting 4K all the time, my face and whatnot, and I think it's gone like maybe warm like a couple times, but it's really never been hot. So whatever they're doing at Sony for the overheating system, like it is really working out. This is insanely good thermals. Now let's talk about the main gripes that I have with this camera. Obviously the fact that it is, yes, it's a little bit bigger than my a6700. It's nothing to complain about, but it's something to note that if you do decide to go to the a7 V, you gotta be willing to bring a big camera around. It's not the biggest again, but it's definitely noticeable. It's like a definitely still professional camera. And the thing is that you can shoot 4K 120, however, it can't shoot 6K, and it has a 7K sensor. However, it also doesn't have open gate. These are the two main complaints that why people are saying the a7 V is like so not that good, because you know, why can't it only shoot like 4K 60 and 4K 120 with a crop? Why can't it shoot 6K? Why can't it have open gate? And I think the last two criticisms are very fair. This should definitely have open gate, and I hope that you can shoot 6K. But these are such high-end features that I feel like, again, at this price point, they're still giving you a lot, but how often are you gonna take advantage of it? I talked about it in my Nikon video. I'm not gonna use 6K that much. Yes, I like the fact that there's a thought I can use 6K 24. However, file size get bigger. It's super hard to edit. Editing 6K just sounds cool that you have 6K footage. It's just how practical is 6K? It's not that practical. Open gate, however, is something I really wish this camera had. It's also not a deal-breaking feature to me, to the point where I'm like, oh, I gotta go Canon R6. And there's no way that open gate has been such a big problem that I've been like, you know, I'll just film vertically or I'll film horizontally. It's not the biggest deal. And I guess to some specific people, these two things are pretty important, but I'd argue that they're a very small minority in the grand scheme of the whole thing. However, what can be a deal breaker is the price. It is definitely an expensive camera in America. It is $3,200 US after tax. That is tax. But you have to think about it this way. It does have A1 Mark II features. Like, it can shoot 30 frames per second, no blackout frames. Like, that's really big deal. It's still significantly cheaper than the FX3, and it can shoot really good photos as well. A good photo camera, you got a good video camera, it's full frame, it has the features of the A1, and it has amazing battery life, really well supported by Sony. Obviously it's the A7 series, and it definitely has very significant upgrades over its predecessor. If you were given the choice to get one of the two, you would have to kind of choose the newer one. However, if you are coming from an A7 IV, I do not think you need an A7 V. I think you can live with the rolling shutter. I think you can live with the screen that's just not as flexible. However, if you're coming from, again, a completely different camera like the a6700 or the FX30, I think the a7 V is just so good. It really is an amazing camera, and I don't even think about the FX3 that much at all, even though it is the dream camera for most people. And the thing is, the FX3 is just a video shooter. I do both. As a hybrid shooter myself, I just think that this is probably the best camera for a lot of people. And obviously it depends if you want to go Sony or Nikon. There's a Z6 III and there's also the R6 Mark III, but I think the a7 V, if you just want to shoot Sony, literally no better camera in the market for this. And if you want to get the a7 IV, go for it, but I think the a7 V just has those better features that, to me, and to I think most people, it's worth the upgrade over the a7 IV, specifically if you're buying new. But I've been really happy with the footage I got on this camera so far, and I've just really thoroughly enjoyed using it. I've been shooting a film with it. It's been beautiful. Literally no complaints about this camera, other than maybe open gate. That is the one complaint I might have. But I can live. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, like and follow for more. Peace.